Hello and welcome to the Ebbenflow podcast, episode 29. That is 29, right? Yeah, 29. Today we are talking about currency versus money. And I am calling it this because I watched a video on YouTube, as I normally do, that was about the differences between currency and money. Now, you might think currency and money, they're the same thing. It's your dollars, right? It's the green notes in your pocket. Well, according to this video, no, they're different, and I'll explain why. But let me do a quick disclaimer. I went on Reddit and I tried to look up currency versus money, see what other people, just get differing opinions on this topic. Someone did post the video on YouTube that I watched on Reddit, and someone else was saying that's not necessarily true. So take everything I say with a grain of salt. The definitions may be incorrect, and I'm just talking about what I think of the video and how it affected me, and I'll put a link to the video down below, and you can see how it'll affect you if you want. All right, but to get into it, basically the difference between currency and money is the store of value property of these mediums of exchange. So what currency and money have in common is they are a medium of exchange and a unit of account. And currency does not have a store of value, but money does. Now, to get into those three things a little bit, it's a medium, money and currency is a medium of exchange. Let's use the US dollar as an example. It's a medium of exchange because it's more effective than the bartering system, meaning that if I grew apples and you raised pigs, I would go to you and I would say, if I wanted some bacon, or, whatever else a pig provides, I would say, hey, can I give you 50 apples for one pig? And if you thought that was a good deal, you would say, yeah. Now, let's say I want a steak. So I go to you and I say, can I have a steak for 50 apples? And you say, I don't have that. Actually, that was a bad example. Let's say I want more bacon, and I come to you and I say, hey, can I give you 50 apples for another pig? And you say, no, I'm actually not interested in apples. I'm looking for a steak. So I'm like, fuck. All right, I guess I really want some bacon, so I guess I gotta find a steak. So I go to another person's house and I ask, here's 50 apples. Can I have a steak for those apples so I can get bacon? You say, sure. So we do the trade. Now I have the steak. Now I go back to you and I say, here's the steak. Can I have the bacon? And you go, sure. So, it worked, but there was a lot of extra steps in between. And so that's pretty inefficient. So to solve that, if we all just agreed on a certain object that had a certain value, then we could just trade that object for different things. So we could avoid the coincidence of wants. And the coincidence of wants is when you want something that someone else has, but that someone else doesn't want what you have. So that's the medium of exchange. The unit of account means you can price things in that currency or money in different denominations of the currency or money. So Apples are not a good unit of account because if I wanted some bread from you, and let's say a bread costs a tenth of an apple, I mean, I'm not really, it doesn't really make sense to give you a tenth of an apple every time I wanted a piece of bread. It would make more sense if we had a silver coin that was worth half a dollar, and then we had a copper coin that was worth a hundredth of a dollar. That way we can price things in more divisible, easier amounts. I hope this is making sense. Now, both money and the U.S. dollar has both of these properties. It's a medium of exchange, and it's a unit of account. Is it a store of value? This is the big question. It used to be until 1971, when the United States went off the gold backing, the gold standard of paper currency, meaning before 1971, you could go to the bank with a dollar bill. You could exchange it for real gold because your dollar was a claim check for gold. So it was backed by gold. And a bank had a certain amount of gold. They could lend out or give out a certain amount of dollars. And I'm a little under the weather, so forgive my voice and my coughs. So you could go to the bank with your dollar, exchange it, you get real gold. The amount of dollars the bank could give out had to be less than or equal to the amount of gold in their reserves. After 1971, that was no longer the case. The banks could now give out more paper money than they had gold in their reserves. This leads to a devaluation of the dollar because now the dollar is backed by nothing. It's backed by everyone believing that it has a backing and it has value. If you look on a dollar, it says something along the lines of, "This note is legal tender for all public and private debts." So the only reason that the dollar has value now is because it literally says that it does. And that's like, it worked really well for a few decades. But I don't know if you've noticed, but everything is getting more expensive. This is like something that a lot of people are feeling right now, Like, I can't afford this shit. I'm making more at my job now more than ever because I'm getting raises every year. But I feel like I'm getting more poor. Like, I can't purchase as much as I used to with the same amount of money. And there doesn't really seem to be an end to it. The Federal Reserve has a target of 2% inflation every year. That means 2% of your savings are being devalued. Your savings is being devalued by 2% every year. The only way for your savings to no longer be devalued is if they had an inflation target of 0% and they reached 0%. The thing is, they're not going to try to reach 0% inflation. Why? Because we live in a debt-based society. It's critical to know that the Federal Reserve is not federal. It's not the government. It's its own entity offside of the government. And the way that more money comes into circulation is the Federal Reserve lends out currency, U.S. dollars, to the government at interest, meaning they buy government bonds and the government has to pay back the Federal Reserve the principal plus interest. Therefore, all of U.S. dollars today are debt. And if all that debt was paid back, there would be $0 because it was all lent out. And we can't even pay the interest because the principal is the current total supply. So, it's all a sham. I mean, the financial system is fake. And to tie it back to currency versus money, U.S. dollars are currency because they're not a good store of value. Money needs to have the property that it's a store of value. So if you save money, it maintains or its value increases over time because productivity increases with new innovations and new technology. Therefore, it gets easier to make things. Therefore, it should be cheaper to make things, and you won't need to demand as much money for your products. So let's talk about Bitcoin and how that differs from the U.S. dollar and how Bitcoin is money and the U.S. dollar is currency. So Bitcoin, its main differing feature is that it's a fixed supply. It's limited. No one can create any more Bitcoin. All the Bitcoin already exists. It's 21 million Bitcoin. The amount of Bitcoin in circulation is like 19 million Bitcoin. And the remaining 1.9 something Bitcoin is yet to be mined. But it'll never go above its total supply of 21 million. So why does this make it a good store of value? It's because in order to buy Bitcoin, in order to get Bitcoin, you have to work. You have to create value to get it. Everyone, and that's the same is true for everybody. Actually, the exception may be the Federal Reserve in the sense that, so you need right now today, you need fiat to acquire Bitcoin. And I just, wondered in my head, the Federal Reserve can print unlimited dollars. So if they print unlimited dollars, they can technically buy all the Bitcoin that's in circulation right now. But the thing is, there's still, 1.9, let's just round up to 2. There's still 2 million Bitcoin left to be mined. So they could gobble up $19 million worth of Bitcoin, but they actually can't because some people are diehard anti-establishment and they'll never sell their Bitcoin. So what the government can do is they can print a shitload of dollars, massive amounts, pretty much unlimited. They're going to buy as much Bitcoin as they can. They're going to increase the demand, but the supply is never increasing. And if you know basic economics, the higher the demand, but if the supply is not meeting the demand, you have to raise the price. So if that starts happening, then the price of Bitcoin is going to skyrocket. And two things will happen if that happens. One, the current circulating supply of dollars will be massively devalued because That's basically hyperinflation, when a government just prints shit tons of money. So that one thing will happen. The other thing that'll happen is all the current holders of Bitcoin will experience massive gains in terms of fiat, in terms of the dollar. So it just further proves the point that Bitcoin is a good store of value because it's maintaining its purchasing power while the dollar is vastly and quickly losing its purchasing power. If hyperinflation happens, then a burger is going to cost $150, basically. And the only way you're going to buy a burger is if you have Bitcoin at that point. So that's why Bitcoin is a store of value. That's why it's money. And, we can get into the consequences of using currency today, the consequences of our current medium of exchange, which is not a good store of value, is that people want to keep raising their prices because if they don't, they're going to drown. Everyone has to do it. I mean, sure, you could keep your... Let's say you run an Airbnb and you're charging $200 a night. Okay. If inflation is happening, which it is, the cost to maintain that Airbnb is going to increase because you need cleaning supplies, and they're going to increase because more money's being put into circulation, so there's more demand for those cleaning supplies, because money is easier to come by. And see, just to be honest, I haven't really figured this out yet. I'm kind of just working through it in my brain live on camera. But I haven't gone into the crazy depths of this topic yet, but all right, your cleaning wipes, your vacuum filters, prices are going to increase. If you keep your nightly rate the same, eventually the cost to run the Airbnb is going to catch up with your nightly rate, meaning that you're breaking even at some point. If you continue to keep your prices the same, you're going to start losing money, and you're going to become poor, and you're just going to be shit out of luck. So the only choice to keep your head above water is to raise your nightly rate. All right. You see how everyone's doing this? And the machine is too big for it to stop, for it to slow down. I don't see a way where everyone can come to an agreement where we say, hey, we're not going to print any more dollars. There's going to be no more inflation. Prices will not be raised. Instead, we will be living in a deflationary economy, meaning that prices come down over time. If we stay in the dollar standard, what I just described is a fever dream. Very, very, very low chance of that happening. So what can you do? Well, thankfully, I don't know what happened. I actually just watched a video today saying that Bitcoin was created by aliens because it's such a out there concept. It's just the opposite of everything that the whole world is used to right now. And it's you could see aliens as beings of higher consciousness, basically further recognitions of unity, where more of their civilization knows that they are the universe, that they are each other, that everything is connected, it's all one. You can work from that recognition. You could fly out to different galaxies, visit different societies. You realize that, you come to Earth and you realize that everyone, large majority of people here are invested in the idea of division. That we all think that we are our own identities, and we're separate, and that couldn't be further from the truth. So, what can you do besides coming down in a spaceship in a UFO, come out as little green men with huge heads, and tell everyone that they're all the same, that we are the aliens, that everyone and everything is God? That would be a little, shocking and jarring to a majority of the population. I think a better, smoother way to do that is to introduce a monetary policy, monetary system that better aligns with the recognition of unity than the one that we currently have, which, it got too far into the illusion of division with the creation of the Federal Reserve, right? It's like people in the Fed, people that are close to the money printer, they're fine. They'll always be fine as long as we're using the dollars, because they're the ones that can give themselves unlimited amounts of wealth. They can steal value from everyone else, from the majority of the world, by printing more money. Everyone else gets the shit end of the stick, who's not close to the money printer. It's a zero-sum game. Fiat. Fiat, just to define it, is money that can be printed out of nothing. It takes no work. It used to take more work when dollars were made out of paper, but ever since dollars went digital, all you have to do is type in a few more zeros in the spreadsheet, and you got yourself $1 million billion bucks, more bucks. So it's super easy to create dollars out of nothing. There's a small group of individuals who have that power. There is a much, much larger group of individuals who have to work at least 40 hours a week to earn that fiat dollars. And what happens to people who have to work? They stay poor, essentially. It's just going to get more and more worse until, you already kind of see it, right? You see the 70, 75, 80-year-olds working at Walmart as greeters, right? Do you think you want to be a Walmart greeter when you're 80? No, probably not, unless you like that kind of stuff. But more likely than not, you're working at Walmart when you're 80 because you need an income and you need to live. And that's a very sad reality. When I was little, when I was a kid, I had dreams, visions of the future of abundance, where I kind of knew in my head that as technology increases, the world should get more and more abundant. It should get it should be easier for things to get to people, and for people to get what they need and what they want, because we as humans have an innate desire to create, not just, create anything, but create value. We like to create things that we think has value to ourselves and to others. Think about, let's just use Amazon as an example. Jeff Bezos creates Amazon because he sees a way to create value for people. Started off with books, but eventually it spread into, you are providing value because people can click and search for things on their computer, and a day later it shows up at their door. Like, that's value. And a lot of people use Amazon, so it makes sense that it's a very wealthy company, and Jeff Bezos is a wealthy individual. because he created a shit ton of value for a shit ton of people. The only problem is that companies like Amazon are overvalued now. They're not worth the amount that their stock ticker says it's worth. Everything that's priced in dollars is going up in the sense that S&P is going up, gold's going up, Nvidia, Apple, Tesla, the Magnificent Seven, tech stocks, they're going up because they have to, because there's more money getting printed and released into the circulation of the current supply, and that created money out of nothing is going to find its way into stocks and investments. But if you look at all those stocks priced in Bitcoin, the value of Bitcoin has gone up massively since its inception 16 years ago. That if you were to price all these stocks in Bitcoin, you would see it falling. That these companies are getting worth less and less every year in Bitcoin, because what's happening is all of the value in the world, which is like this much, it's unlimited. There's unlimited amounts of value because everyone creates value and life goes on forever. And it all gets funneled into just 21 million little units of Bitcoin. So all those 21 little units are going to absorb all of the value that's currently out in the world. And the reason you see things in Bitcoin getting cheaper and cheaper is because that is what a free market looks like. It's, as Jeff Booth says, the natural state of the free market is deflation. Of course things are going to get cheaper because the technology is getting better, because we as humans like to find efficiencies. And it makes sense. Doesn't it just make sense when you look at things priced in Bitcoin? You can Google the price of an iPhone in Bitcoin. Just Google that and look at the images. There's a graph that shows when an iPhone 4 came out, it was 165 Bitcoin. Now the iPhone 17 is 0.007 Bitcoin. So, and that number is just going to keep falling forever. Because that's what a free market looks like. And, could just keep going on about this. But I feel like that was a lot of information packed into 28 minutes. So I think I'm going to end it here. If you've made it this far, thank you. You've supported my show in every way that I want you to, and that I wish you could support it, because I don't offer any. I mean, I have a life coaching business, but I don't really I haven't focused on that in a long time. I have an Instagram and X, and I actually have Primal now, so I might start linking my Nostr profile, because I'll have to make maybe another video on Nostr, because censorship is rampant in centralized media such as Instagram. So Nostr is it's a protocol that's kind of based on Bitcoin technology. I mean, if there's one thing to take away from this video, Bitcoin is a fucking rabbit hole. Just like so many other things in life, you can go down a chess rabbit hole, you can go down a speaker rabbit hole, you can go down a camera rabbit hole. Bitcoin is a rabbit hole in itself. There is so much to talk about with Bitcoin, and I think it's important to have a conversation about it because it's currently the best way to escape currency and to start using money. So, I get very excited about Bitcoin. I get very enthusiastic about it. I love learning about it. I would like to be a Bitcoin educator of some sorts in the future, or maybe convert my professional skills to some sort of Bitcoin venture. But right now, I'm perfectly happy where I'm at in life, and I think I have hope for the future because this technology exists, and it's why not try to see things in a positive light, So I'll leave it at that. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you soon.